Welcome, pedal nerds. We're here doing a run of three different tremolos, and I'm gonna do a fourth video where you won't hear any sound, but if you want to hear which one I prefer or features back and forth, I'm gonna do my 2 cents on all three of them. That's gonna be video number 4. And we're gonna start with the diamond tremolo. It's rather small. That's what she said. I don't have my button active. Damn it. If you hear a that's the fan going in the background. I highly apologize. Hardly, I very much apologize. It's freaking hot here. I need the fan. Talking about fans, please subscribe. So, diamond tremolo. Beautiful green. What else do you need to know? It's rather small, and that's what she said. And it's very clear that musicians were behind this, that musicians were developing this because they wanted certain features, which is it's very clear that this is a box where people thought, let's do something different. This is not your classic tremolo. So, setup, Thomann by Maybach. That's a neat guitar. Going into the Okko Diablo Plus, which I have right here from Thomann for a demo for them, so I thought, why not put it on the table and test it out? That's supposed to be a very, very cool overdrive. I will find out. Going into the diamond tremolo, going into the Walrus Audio Bellwether for some analog delays, going into the Fender Hot Rod Deluxe, which is right here for my demos right now. It's a nice combo. And that's going into the 2 Notes Torpedo Live with a 412. Everything's connected. Let me do a little plug here. Plug, get it? Cables. Everything's connected with Rockboard flat cables, very inexpensive, good sounding cables, being powered by Chalk's power supplies, because that's awesome. I got pussy power. Yes, I do. So, one of the coolest features of the diamond tremolo is not a tremolo at all. Apparently it's got a pretty good buffer inside. I don't know what that means and why that's cool. I know what that means. I know why it's cool. But that buffer can be used to use it as a... I don't think that's because of the buffer. Anyway, it can be a cool clean boost by simply getting the depth down, getting volume up. Check this shit out. No tremolo. That's an excellent clean boost. Hell yeah, diamond! So, this thing is so freaking cool. A lot of visual feedback, a lot of options with very few controls. Very few controls on this. Let's look at not this section. Let's look at speed, depth, and volume. And this switch, which isn't a 2-position switch. See how the color changes? Green, orange, red, green. Okay, so turn it on. Simon describes this as a shark fin wave. Neat. It's a little bit sharper sine. So that's your range for the speed and depth. Once you click it now, it's going into a sine wave. That's orange. Very neat. You click it and it's going into a square wave, but still not choppy because you have the depth to control it. Very neat. And then green and red is actually chop central. And that shit is awesome with some drive. Let me see if I can get my delay to do that. You can see with very simple tools you can actually create really cool sounds. So you cycle through the waveforms here. You have tap. Yes, you can simply create your tremolo with the tap. Very cool. So let's say you do a slow one. And you quickly want double speed. You don't have to go dat 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 dat. You know, dat 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 dat. You just hold in tap and you see the tap slash double. And the on-off light illustrates that you're in double because it turns red. They thought of everything. This is so cool. So go back to normal speed and that's it. So instead of your speed knob, you can use your tap knob, tap foot switch. This is a hard click one. So that's hard. That's what she said. And this is a soft one. No big click. So right now I'm tapping quarter notes. Let's go to this dial here. It's a 6-position switch, 6 positions width. We have quarter notes. Let's go to a choppier one. 8th notes. Triplets. That's quarter note triplets? Very cool. Now let's go to Rythmic, which is very, very awesome. That alternates between eighth notes and quarter notes as far as I understand, but let's check it out. Yes, you can also double that. So, chaos is way cool. Around the tempo where you're at, it's gonna vary the speed. To admit that the sound of it alone is awesome. Check this out. I mean, again, depth down. That's the sound of that pedal. It's just an always on pedal. I mean, this is it's crispier. It's just wow. And yes, you might say it's just louder, but it's louder in a good way. So, chaos, way cool. And then we've got manual mode, which will trigger the tremolo once you hit the tap button, meaning there's no tremolo now. And in the chaotic mode, you have a kill switch. Awesome. Do that with some delay. So, that's pretty much it. My 2 cents. So, pretty straightforward. What do I think about the Diamond Tremolo? I think it's a phenomenal tremolo. It's not one that gives you vintage sounds. It's not one that gives you the harmonic option like I think the we'll go into other tremolos later. It is a phenomenal tremolo that can be choppy, which some of them can't if they're too vintage. It has a lot of really cool functions. I love tremolos where you have different waveforms. For me, that's a must. The tap is killer. in these creative rhythm and in chaos modes. Very, very, very cool. Here's one problem that almost every tremolo has for me. Syncability. Now, yes, with the tap, you can get the tempo synced. No problem. So I'm playing along in my song, and I'm tapping. When you have a delay or a modulation pedal that will show you beats per minute when you're tapping, like the Thomann or the Mobius from Strymon, they will clearly show you that when you're tapping, you're actually off by about 10 beats per minute. So it's not a precise science, that whole tapping thing. What if you have this choppy sound? Gak, 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 gak. Very, very cool. But how do you use it live? Even how do you use it in a studio situation? Let's go live. It has a beginning. Delays will be in the tempo that you play. So you tap it, you have roughly the same tempo, you play the delay, and it will appear that much later in your song, which is cool. So you're saying when the delay is supposed to happen by your playing. The tremolo is free running. So that LFO, that low frequency oscillator inside is running. So if you have a choppy waveform, you don't have control over where that waveform starts. Meaning, you play, and it might be off, it might be on, it might be somewhere in the middle of that cycle. So you would have to be the metronome. You would have to be the time giver in the band. Meaning you're playing gag 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 gag. So then your drummer has to put himself on top of that. Okay, he's playing, bass player is playing, second guitar player is playing, singer is singing. What are the chances that your drummer will actually hear you well enough in the mix, in the practice room or on stage, and be able to keep time with your tremolo? Almost nil. Studio situation. How do I sync this to my song? My song is 140 beats per minute. Tapping is not going to work. I will have 2, maybe 3 measures where it actually syncs and then it's running wild. How do I tell it, this is where I start? I want my off to be here, so I'm doing eighth notes. I want I want the off beats to be there. How do I tell it that? We tried it with this and other tremolos. It is extremely hard. That's what she said. The only way to use it really creatively and effectively in a studio situation is when they have MIDI clock, which the Mobius has from Strymon. But even then, it is extremely difficult to actually get it to do what you want it to do, which is please trigger at the beginning of the downbeat. So I love these stutter sounds. I just don't quite know how to use them effectively, tempo synced in a musical band situation. When I played with Campaign Like Clockwork last year, I had the Mobius set up to be a stutter sound because we really needed that for a song. And it was in the intro. So what we did is I played, I let the notes sit there, I let the drummer tap along with his, I had 140 beats per minute set up, he had 140 beats per minute set up. I started and he tried to simply start his metronome at the right point. He started playing when he had that happening. So I could be on stage for 30 seconds for him to try to trigger that downbeat correctly so that he could hear, my click now is in sync with where Henning is, which worked fine for the intro about 80% of the time. But that was where my pedal and his metronome were exactly 140 beats per minute. No tapping, no vagicity, vagulariousness, vagity. You know what I mean. It wasn't vague, it wasn't rough, it was exact. And then at the end of the song, that should come back. So what I did is, we were playing, he was on this 140 beats per minute, I triggered that tremolo sound, and if after 2 beats I noticed, it's totally off because it was running free, I turned it off again and went to a different sound. So, I love these sounds. If it's subtle, woo, fine. If it's a woo, 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 fine. If it's gak, 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 if it's very rhythmical, I simply don't know how to make it work. Please tell me if you have a solution. I've tried it with MIDI clock, if it's MIDI clock capable. This is not. Now that tap tempo it can get you so far. You can continuously tap. It's still, it will keep the time. It won't keep the re-trigger of the waveform, if you know what I mean. If you have a square wave, you know, have this wave start on the downbeat. So this is really the challenge with any kind of tremolo. Other than that, this box is not going to give you the vintage sound. It's going to give you, I'm going to say, modern and very, very cool tremolo sounds in a small package with very cool features. And it is, as a tremolo, highly, highly recommended. If you ask me, I'm out. Thank you for watching. There will be more tremolo reviews coming up, well, right after this one, and then a comparison of this with others. Check it out here on my channel. Please subscribe. Please, please subscribe. See ya.